Welcome to my naturally sweetened life. Let's water bath can tomato sauce. The first step is to prep the tomatoes. Rinse them under cold water to remove any dirt or debris. Cut off the blossom end of the tomato, then cut it into chunks and put it into your cooking vessel. The vessel of choice that I'm using this time is a roaster because I have so many tomatoes in this batch. I like to prep the tomatoes the night before and then cook them overnight so they will be ready in the morning time when I have more energy. Because I will be cooking these overnight, I'm only going to turn it on between 200 and 250 degrees, and I'm going to turn it that low so the tomatoes won't burn. But here they are, and I also want to add a cup of water at the bottom of the pan so it will prevent any scorching or burning. Okay, we're just going to put the lid on and let this cook overnight while we sleep, and that's as easy as it gets. Here we are the next morning. The tomatoes are cooked. I do see 2 or 3 tomatoes that were on the side of the pan that did get a little crispy, but I can discard those, no big deal. The majority of the tomatoes look just fine. Scoop the tomatoes into your Vitamix or any high-powered blender. You can also use a stick blender, but the high-powered blender works the best. I love my Vitamix, and it really does pulverize the seeds and the skins, and you cannot even tell they're in there. If you don't have a high-powered blender, you can always run the tomatoes through a food mill and skip the blending process. Because our ingredients are hot, be careful not to overfill your Vitamix and slowly turn it on. Don't go full power at once because you don't want any of the hot tomato sauce splattering or making the lid want to pop off. Just take your time and work your way up to full strength and blend for a few minutes until you can tell that everything, like all the seeds and the skins, are well blended. I have some extra bowls that I pour the tomato sauce into while I scoop the remaining tomatoes. Keep repeating this process until all the tomatoes are out of the roaster. Once the roaster is empty, pour all of the tomato sauce back into the roaster. Cook the sauce for several hours until it is reduced by half. The goal here is to cook the majority of the water out of the sauce so that it thickens the sauce and you can move on to the next step. Start by prepping your jars. Clean them with hot, soapy water and take the time to inspect each jar. Check for any cracks or any chips out of the jar that would prevent a good seal. At this point, you should have your water bath canner set up on the stove, halfway filled with water, with the lid on. Turn it on to medium-high heat and begin to heat the water. Then you're going to fill your jars with the hot tomato sauce up to a half-inch headspace. Wipe the rims of the jar, making sure there's no leftover tomato sauce that could hinder a good seal. Add the citric acid, a half a teaspoon per quart jar, and a fourth a teaspoon for pints. This makes sure that the acidity of the tomatoes is correct for water bath canning. Place the lid and rings on your jars. Lower the jars into the canner and make sure that the water covers your jars by at least 1 to 2 inches. Place the lid on the canner and bring the water up to a boil. Once you see the water start boiling, put the lid back down and set your timer for 45 minutes. Before you start canning, know your altitude for where you live because your canning time may be different than mine. Once the timer is finished, turn the heat off, take the lid off of the canner, let it sit for 5 minutes, and then you can take the jars out of the canner and place them on a towel-lined countertop. Let them cool completely. If you like this video, please consider subscribing to my channel and giving this video a thumbs up. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.